Good morning. It is June 12th. It is Thursday morning. It is 8:52 a.m. I don't know if you can hear the little birds chirping outside, but it seems like it's one of those sunshine days where everything is like in harmony and it just seems like, it's all peaceful outside. Hopefully, this good feeling will last for like the rest of the day. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so I got up this morning and I am working on my projects, obviously, and working on communicating to different people about my fundraiser. And, because I've made attempts to um, correct this issue many times before with people invading my space, such as Terry Collins, the kids I used to know from school, Bruce Collins, all these people who were involved, I'm very shocked. Mainly because it's just absolutely obnoxious to me, especially since I made it very clear, especially to Terry Collins and Bruce Collins, that they should never have been a part of my life. I understand that Bruce Collins at the time, made it very clear that he was not interested in paying child support. I don't ever recall wanting to rely on him in any way. So I, did everything I could to support my own child. And yet we had people who were willing to allow these people to come in and, manipulate my life. So here we are now. We are here right now where I'm unemployed because I was trafficked to the main perpetrator, which was Rex Laverne over at Laverne and Son. No one in their right mind would have wanted to stay at a company like that, okay? Considering the fact that, I was exploited, mainly because of the issue of the insensitive issue of exploiting me, knowing that, my whole family situation was as dark and bizarre as it was, okay? These people, obviously had zero sense of right and wrong. The whole thing to me was just immoral and shocking. And I had made videos before talking about why Terry Collins should have never been involved in my targeting, my trafficking. And I believe after that, I said that she still continued to be in there for a while. So I am disturbed, shocked, and I have absolutely no respect for these people. But my main goal right now, of course, is to forget these people and move on with my rest of my life, okay? And in order to do that, I have been thinking, I understand, the reason why I would never traffic somebody, I would never participate in gang stalking or human trafficking, is because I would never want to be responsible for harming somebody. Okay, I would never want to be responsible for causing anyone pain. And to me, this is, this is how I navigate through life. I want to navigate through life with a clean conscience. Okay, I know when I was younger, I would do things, foolish things, and I'd feel guilty about it, and it would affect me, it would affect, my morale, it would affect my outlook on life, it would affect everything. And so as I got to be an adult, I kept thinking, you know what, I understand the important thing in life is for me to focus on my goals and to mind my own business. Okay, and this is something I truly believe. Okay, and this is one thing that shows that I have integrity, because I do not compete unfairly with other people, okay? If other people have a skill, then they have the right to go to an employer or present their skill freely without me trying to obstruct them. It is up to the employer, okay, whether they want to deal with you or not, okay? But I understand that these people were very brainwashed. But the fact of the matter is that, I was never Bruce's, and I'm not trying to dump on Bruce, but when I think about the people who were involved, okay, it's almost like these obnoxious people were just helping themselves to things that they had no right to be a part of. Okay, now, here I am now, after they blacklisted me, okay, and they spread this shit all over the United States, okay? So these people need to take accountability for what they've done, meaning that I have to be able to communicate with employers. I have to be able to contact people. I have to be able to speak. I have to be able to communicate. I have to be able to negotiate, and I have to be able to, set the wheels in motion for my plans. Okay, because I'm making it very clear that I do not want to be associated with the network. Okay, so I don't want to be trafficked into this one area with them doing this. My goal right now is to get to Lancaster, California. Now, here's the thing. You know, my goal is to live the rest of my life in Lancaster. Okay, and right now I'm not working. So right now I'm in a, what do you call it, a period of stagnation, meaning I don't know exactly what I'm doing, mainly because of the fires that they put and set throughout the United States. Okay, because this, and I understand that a lot of this has to do with church involvement, Rex Laverne, whatever. Okay, so I have specific things that I need to make clear, and I hope that President Trump is listening. I'm pretty sure he does. I get the intuitive message that he listens to all of my videos. Okay, so this message right here, as of June 12th, 2025. Okay, I would like, see, I understand we have separation of church and state, but you know what these churches participated in? They participated in my blacklisting as well as my targeting. Okay, so what these people need to do in every congregation here in the United States, there needs to be an announcement that my name must be cleared from any data bank that they have. I do believe that these blacklists that pervade throughout the United States perhaps may be from churches. Okay, my name needs to be removed from all data banks, and I'm hoping that President Trump is supporting me. Also, I mean, it makes sense to clear all people who are considered to be targeted individuals. This is an illegal operation. Also, you know, churches need to encourage their members to obviously, you know, stop the dual affiliations. I know I've mentioned this before, but I also need churches' participation in removing the animosity that they were responsible for putting out in the street. Okay, and I feel as though this is essential for me to be able to function and move forward. Okay, so right now, since I started working, you know, I would say at Edwards Air Force Base in 1997, and my goal was to stay in the Antelope Valley. I stayed at Computer Sciences Corporation for 4 consecutive years, which I was proud of myself because that was the longest time I ever had job history, and I was hoping that I could find a job in Lancaster, California after leaving CSC because I didn't want to work for the government, right? I was, you know, I didn't realize at the time that I was blacklisted. So this is the reason why. This is the only reason why I came to Bakersfield, California. Because I understood the cost of living was cheap. I understood that I knew that I had skills and the ability to, you know, support myself. I felt as though I was more professional, even more than the people that I knew in Lancaster. So this is why I came here, to get, you know, a decent job and hopefully make a decent life for myself. Now, these kids from high school, if any of these people are still living, they need to do their job, you know, as far as clearing my name as well. So since these data banks get created from these corrupt people, you need to take my name out of those data banks. And if you know any other targeted individuals, they need to be removed as well. The reason why is because they should not have that in the first place. Blacklists are illegal, okay? And whatever illegal activities that churches are participating in, okay? Such as, you know, I'm going to say at this point, even gossip. And the reason why gossip is not necessarily illegal, but it does if it becomes slander or it becomes like libel, okay? Anytime you communicate something negative over the internet or you say something verbally out loud or whatever, anything that you do that could cause someone damage their reputation, you need to be responsible for that. Okay, so this is the reason why when I talk about President Trump being listening on this, is because obviously we know that a lot of the damage that has been caused by the creation of things like targeted individuals, human trafficking, I do believe that churches may inadvertently, okay, be playing a role in the targeting program because of the issue relating to clones, and then also them defining how other people should live based off of their standards, which we don't really have any reason to do that. We have the right to live without religion, okay? Now, so that's very important, and I do hope that President Trump will preside over that, meaning, you know, like I said, let's keep church and state separate, because that's the way it's supposed to be. Also, you know, this upcoming week, I want to make this very clear, because I understand people are very nosy, okay, and this is a part of the targeting that I've experienced. Okay. I don't know if Terry Collins is alive or not. I don't really, I don't know if she is or not, but whether the Collins family is alive or dead or whoever's remaining, whatever role that you play in this, you need to reverse it, okay? And also, you need to step back and understand, hey, you're doing something that is inappropriate, okay? The only thing that if you've created a problem, you need to unwind it. Meaning, like, if you were responsible for spreading gossip, then you need to do everything you can to take it back. Take it back, okay? Because I'm tired of being in a situation where here's the situation. The situation is that I would say that I was a young girl when I got together with my son's father, and I do not believe that what his mother did warranted anything. Okay, I did not marry Bruce for good reason. Okay, and then he showed that he was not going to be responsible by paying consistent child support, which to me that makes sense. I never asked these people for anything. Okay, but yet they feel entitled to jump on the bandwagon. No, it does not work that way. Regardless of whether they are biologically related to my son or not. The fact is, if they wanted to be a grandparent or have a relationship with my son, okay, fine, so be it. But you leave my shit alone. It is not for you to touch anything. Okay, and I do get the intuitive message that these people are dealing with a lot of their own misery, and they feel, that's too bad, okay? But the fact of the matter is, if you did something, I deserve compensation, okay? So you need to compensate me in some way, whether that be making my name clear or whatever. Whatever you did, you need to undo it, okay? Now, going back to what's coming up with me. Okay, I have made no income yet. I just recently started, this whole thing about trying to gain money to get back to the Antelope Valley. Okay, so right now I have not made any money yet. I just started this 2 days ago, and I know I have an appointment with the EDD office. Okay, the EDD office I think is going to be contacting me on the 16th on Monday. Okay, now, if I was to make income, I would definitely report this to the EDD, okay? Because the reason why is because the EDD is giving me or is paying out, like, it's part of the monthly, not monthly, but I guess you get paid on a weekly basis or every other week. I forgot how EDD works. I was on it, like, back in 2022. But still, if you earn money and you're on unemployment, you have to let the EDD know. And I understand I would not try to defraud them. I am very, very upfront and honest about everything. So the thing is, I expect to get my EDD benefit. You know why? Because if I'm entitled to it, and I do believe that I am. Okay. So because the person I spoke to on the some sort of databank or whatever saw that I had funds available. My thing is that I'm responsible. I understand what is supposed to be reported to the EDD, so other people do not need to be in my business. Also, when it comes to the EDD office, like I said, they need to adhere to the standards set by the government. They work for the government. Therefore, they need to adhere to their standards and guidelines. It is not based on what a cult decides, their little cult committees, what they hear in church, or anything else. This is something that the churches need to communicate to their congregations. Whatever these people were doing, they need to undo it, okay? Because what these people have done is wrong. And I do know that they got a lot of their information based off of the LDS church about genealogy. This is not me starting a problem. I'm basically saying in order for me to move on with my life, I have to get this issue cleared up and make sure that it's cleared up. You guys created the problem, and now you need to fix it, okay? What else? Yeah, so, like I said, I understand the whole process of what it means to try to transition into another location, okay? Because I worked in, not HR, but, I've been like a hiring manager, and I've also understood that a lot of companies, they do not want to hire somebody outside of a community, because a lot of things can happen. They can hire a person, and then maybe they're going to run into an issue of the person not being able to move, or relocate in a timely manner or whatever. Okay, so they usually choose people who are in that location. So if I want to move to Lancaster, I need to move to that location. And a lot of companies are not willing to pay for things like, relocation fees. Okay, they're not willing to do that. A long time ago, people were willing to do that, okay? But I don't believe they're doing that nowadays as often, okay? So the only person who's responsible for that is me, okay? I need to take care of that. Am I willing to work in Bakersfield in the meantime? You know what? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I really don't know. I look for work here in Bakersfield as well as Lancaster. When it comes to me promoting my project, everyone in the state of California will become contacted. Why? Because I need to make enough money to, number one, pay my rent right here. I know my son's paying a lot the rent, okay, but and then if I get my EDD, then of course that's going to contribute to that. All right, but I also need to pay my rent here. I need to pay for a apartment, the security deposit. Sometimes people request a first and last month's rent, okay? Some people do. I need to be prepared to that. I need to be able to rent a truck. I need to be able to pay for fuel. I need to be able to get boxes. I need to be able to, what else? Set up perhaps, security deposits for utilities. I don't think I do because I should have good credit and be in good standing, okay? But still, all of these people who created these problems relating to my credit and all of this stuff, this is their responsibility to fix, okay? And like I said, I'm getting tired of them not being able to fix their problem in an expedient manner. Hurry the hell up. Like, seriously, it's your fault, so fix it. So fix it, okay? So when it comes to my EDD benefits, I'm open to whatever happens. Like I said, if I was to make maybe some money this week, then I would definitely let them know while I'm having my interview, okay? I am responsible. I understand how these agencies work, so I can handle it. All these other people need to get out of it. It has nothing to do with you. I will communicate with the ED, and I'm not looking forward to talking to these people, okay? Because I honestly do not like dealing with, and I know this is not to sound arrogant, it's just that a lot of people are not professional. They're not professional, okay? They might feel like they're some sort of, they need to be some sort of vigilante, or they need to sit here and tell other people about the details of my case. That shit better be confidential, okay? This is a government facility, meaning like they need to follow the guidelines of what a government is, the government standards for, handling cases and the requirements. It has nothing to do with my religion. It has nothing to do with my preferences of music, my clothes, what I do with my free time, whatever. Okay, the thing is, I am entitled, if I'm entitled to EDD benefits, I'm entitled to EDD benefits whether I'm married or whatever. Okay, so I do not ever want to have anybody involving themselves into my personal life, especially people like the Collins family, because I find that very offensive. I find it very offensive, okay? And there's times where I sit there and I think about it like, how in the world, could it be that other spectators that were seeing this issue, okay, would think that this is okay? No, it is not okay. It is not okay, okay? People do realize that my projects are meant to help improve society, okay? The reason why I'm showing this devil on this screen is because this is how I feel about, and I said, I do not want to paint Christianity out to be evil, okay? But what Christianity got involved with, okay, was evil. And I do believe that Christianity, because they followed the wrong advice and because they did not have proper direction, has led many people to have miserable lives, okay? When I look at this picture of the devil card, I look at this man and wife, and I start thinking about how some of these people, corrupt individuals within and I'm trying to be fair to Christianity, okay? But there are corrupt individuals who within these Christian denominations. I'm going to include Rex Laverne. I'm also going to include Terry Collins. Why? Because Terry Collins is supposed to be a Jehovah's Witness, and they're supposed to be above it all, right? But yet these people were in bed with, these other corrupt people from different denominations. But you have these people, they want to arrange marriages, and then they end up getting married to these kingdom spouses, and then they end up being bound and chained in a life of misery. Okay, they end up having children that they don't want, or they might adopt a bird baby and then they'll sit there and abuse. Okay, then their churches want to strip away. I don't know. I have never heard of I mean, I've known some churches are oppressive, but I think it's crazy when they sit there and they try to modify your habits and try to make you, and I can understand if it's against their something based on doctrine, okay? But that's their choice to follow that doctrine, okay? And it's not something that I choose to do. But I honestly, when I look at the church lifestyle of most people who go to church, I am not impressed with their life, and I honestly think that their lives were ruined. Now, I didn't even make an effort to be a part of this religious organization, and my life has been affected just because I was a burden baby, okay? I honestly feel as though, church people or people who these Christian people, okay, live very unhappy, miserable lives, and I want nothing to do with it. I'm making it very clear. But like I said, going back to what I expect from churches at this point, and then also I think the churches should also encourage their members to support me when it comes to my projects. Why? Because my fundraiser is to undo the problems that they created. So I believe that they have a moral responsibility to encourage this. And this is not in any, this is one way of resolving or helping to resolve the issue, because I have been misplaced, I have been abused, and the only thing that's going to fix it is what they need. They need to reverse what they did. So you wanted to ostracize me. Now is the time for you to inform your members that is no longer the case. And also, if they are able to assist me in my project, meaning like this fundraiser I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do it because, and I'm only going to be doing it until I make enough money, okay, to get my moving costs all cleared away. So right now, what I'm looking at, I need to make at least, okay, I'm saying at least because I'm thinking probably rent in Lancaster is going to be more expensive than Bakersfield. No, I have not looked at a particular apartment, but I'm looking at the cost of living. Okay, I'm considering the cost of living. I think about these things. This is one of the reasons why I do not, and I completely resent people jumping on the bandwagon to my life, because I understand these things and they don't. They don't take account of all of these things, but I do, okay? So I need to make a pretty good chunk of change. And believe me, it's not easy to do when you have people who are in your way. So I'm asking President Trump, okay? I am asking President Trump to inform churches or the United States within the churches that are in the United States to reverse their problem. Because I am an innocent person, okay? And these people were following the instructions or were influenced by Nazi ideology. It is a big, big problem. Okay, I do get the intuitive message that Lancaster is searching for apartments for me. Like I said, that's great. Hopefully it's something cool like, on Date Avenue. But you can do that, but I need to make money. Okay, I need to make money, and I need to make money quickly. Okay, and my project is not available on Ko-fi or Patreon, okay, which means that I have to kind of administer the viewing of this myself on a manual way of doing it, okay. I wish that I knew of other platforms that I felt were trustworthy. Unfortunately, I don't trust anyone right now, okay. Going forward, like I said, I hope that, other people who have these sort of skills will start creating better, more reliable, okay, platforms than platforms that can be manipulated. Okay, that is very dangerous, very, very dangerous. So yes, this is what I need in order to get, and this is because I've not been compensated financially. I have not received any compensation. Everything that I'm suffering right now, including me being behind on rent and stuff like that, is a direct result of these people. Okay, so in order to fix it, and I seriously have been thinking about how do I fix this, because the reason why a lot of people die in the targeted individual program, or they commit suicide, is because they do not ever get to the root of the problem. And now I understand what the root of the problem is. The root of the problem is that this was a conspiracy. They were conspiring, which is against the law. They were conspiring against me across state lines, okay? And churches were involved. So please correct the issue, okay? Make it a priority to have a meeting at your church and bring this issue out. in the open and talk about it. Okay, if these people are business owners, if you have members that are business owners, please encourage them to watch my video or purchase the video. Okay, because like I said, right now I need to make as much money as I possibly can. If my intuitive messages are correct about Lancaster searching for apartments for me, they cannot sit here and hold that apartment for me forever. So I need to get the wheels moving as soon as possible. Okay, and then, like I said, I'm somebody who plans and understands these sort of things, whereas other people who are perps, we're not thinking about the total details of that are required for me to do something. They just wanted to bully me and tell me what to do. So anyway, yeah, I'm tired of those people. So I'm very grateful for the people who are looking for an apartment for me. Hopefully there's a way to find that apartment that you found for me. I don't know how I'm going to end up seeing it, because I guess you could put it on Craigslist, okay? But mind you, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. I understand that the amount of money that I'm going to need, a rough estimate of what I need to make. So, like I said, I understand there's been a lot of game playing in the past. I'm asking President Trump to assist me in getting this all together, because, like I said, in order to, effectively correct or move on from my life, I need to get to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is there was damage done. And the damage that was done was created by churches and different denominations. And like I said, I would prefer this to be peaceful. I'm doing everything I can to have a peaceful party, meaning like I want to go my own way, go on with my life, and I feel as though I've never received justice, and I do believe that this is a very fair way of compensating me. Okay, that means that going forward, I am able to communicate with employers to find jobs. I am also able to conduct my own business if I choose to do this. Right now, because when you're a targeted individual, you do not know have a clear idea as to what you're going to do. You know why? Because they sometimes the issues, the blocks, and the gossip and the obstacles that they put in front of you, you don't know what you're going to do. Okay, you can't plan your life accordingly. So this is why I'm saying, I'm entitled to have my choice. Okay, now this message that just popped up in my mind just came up. It was something about me. They were talking. Okay, the message that came into my mind was about my looks again. Okay, yeah, you know what? That is a form of bullying. And like I said, I don't want to sit here and constantly justify my looks. Okay, but by taking care of yourself, that is something that you should do. Okay, and I do think that when the church, bullies women over this issue, okay, they are basically trying to destroy the lives of women, okay, because most women do not like to feel this way. Okay, most women, the reason why it was easy for these women to attack me is because they resent giving up themselves. Okay, the church to me destroys that. Okay, women want to be, I'm not saying beautiful, because I'm not beautiful. I think I'm very earthy looking myself, but the thing is, I believe that because this is the whole foundation of it was Nazism, okay, and promoting Nazi ideology, where women were supposed to be breeders to create more members of the white race. Like I said, I'm not white and I'm not Mormon, okay, but I am a woman, and I am somebody who is extremely feminine in that department, meaning I like my clothes. I like those sort of things. And I do believe that this is what a lot of women give up to be members of these churches, okay? And I do believe that they have a lot of resentment towards that. They have a lot of resentment towards that. So when they see somebody who is not, adhering to their church principles, they feel jealous, because deep down inside, they want that too, okay? And they feel as though they gave up this very important part of their life for a kingdom spouse that does not appreciate them, possibly even abuses them, and their children are disrespectful to them. Okay, so they gave up themselves, flushed themselves down the toilet for a church organization that is basically abusing them. And it's a vicious cycle, okay? So I personally think, churches should rethink that, but they have the right to practice their religion however they want to, okay? But I'm not that religion, okay? But these three churches, as I'm saying, and I'm saying this in front of Trump, as well as, the entire White House and everything that encompasses that, okay? These churches, okay, need to be instructed to keep their stuff separate, okay? They are not the ones who rule society, okay? They rule over the people who choose to be a part of that belief system, okay? And that's their choice. That is their choice. It is not mine. I'm saying it one more time. I want my name removed from any database, okay, that is somehow marking an individual. And also to President Trump, I would appreciate it, Mr. President Trump, if you would try to investigate this issue of the circulation of these sort of databanks, because that would be referred to as blacklist, because they are illegal. They are illegal. Okay, blacklisting is illegal, and no one has the right to destroy. I understand it's a competitive job market. It's competitive, but if you want to compete, then be a better skilled person. Okay, you don't sit here and do things in a covert manner. Okay, so yes, this issue needs to be addressed. It is a huge issue when it relates to human trafficking and the resolution of this problem. Okay, because the cork that gets put into like the economy, the ebb and flow of people being able to find proper employment is been tampered with, you know what I mean? And it needs to be fixed. So like I said, however these churches need to get the message through to their members, okay, they need to encourage, and please encourage their members to support me on my journey. I do need to get things moving as soon as possible. I need the cooperation, and I don't believe asking the cooperation of churches is wrong. You know why? Because these people were responsible for it in the first place. Okay, what else do I want to say? People have noted that I am, like I said, I did not create this competition, but yes, I have beat out college students. I think maybe some of these college students were trying to suggest how they were supposed to deal with me throughout my bullying and my targeting. You chose wrong, okay? I in my I'm making a human trafficking pamphlet for the employers who purchase my video, and it's basically just kind of a transcript of what I presented in the video. But I did, I understand as an autodidact, and me being somebody who understands like things like psychology and law, I do not have a license to, to diagnose. I do not have a license to, practice law, okay? But the reason why a lot of these people who, like, for example, if you study business administration in college, right, the chances are one of your courses would be psychology, and it would also be law, okay? So the purpose of it is not to practice it as to diagnose. This is just to help you understand how to deal with people, okay? And then also the purpose of law, even though you're not going to be a lawyer, if you're taking a business administration, trying to pursue a degree in business administration, the reason why you'd be taking that is not to practice law, it's so that you understand how to work within these operational guidelines, and that's what it's for. And in the same vein of thought, when I talk about me being an autodidact who understands these things, I'm presenting it, but just because I am not somebody who is licensed, I am putting reference information, like, for example, WebMD, okay? These are people who are supposed to be, I believe they're actual physicians who post this information, or, other credible medical websites, okay, that I'm putting so that people will understand that I'm not just making this up, okay? I'm letting people understand that, for example, putting somebody in isolation and how damaging that can be. See, there's a lot of professionals like managers that think it's okay to put people. I've heard of somebody putting a team member in a closet, isolating them, telling their employees to ignore so and so and so and so. And I'm talking about the psychological damage that a lot of these so-called educated college graduate managers are doing to their employees, which is causing them psychological pain. Okay, so anyway, this is my point, okay, is that I believe that the workforce needs to change, okay, that this sort of management needs to go. And so, yes, I understand that I'm, using reference materials to prove my point, okay, to prove my point. Like the articles that I'm showing, like talking about isolation, the article, for example, is not based on how this affects people or talking about people being isolated at work. I'm talking about isolation in general, okay? So the psychological effects of isolation, and why would if somebody deliberately try to harm somebody in that sort of manner? Are they aware that they're harming somebody in that manner? Now that you know this, this needs to stop. Okay, I'm also bringing up issues relating to law. The laws that I'm referring to are, of course, of state law, and I'm also referencing federal law as well. And I'm using I'm not giving out my glossary of terms for this particular presentation for my fundraiser, but it is a part of the autodidacts laying the foundation, book, okay? And I'm going to say that this book pamphlet is going to be pretty big, okay? And it's just for reference material only. It's going to have like a table of contents and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm working very big on my projects, because my projects are very important to me. And yes, I have the right to have, be a visionary, and I believe that my vision is right, okay? I believe that I am I'm on it, meaning like I understand that these sort of things are important to introduce into the workforce. I believe that it would be very helpful and bring about true work-life balance, or the closest possible that we can ever have. We have not achieved that under this sort of system, where people feel as though, being in these positions just because you belong to the Christian church is not good enough, okay? People really need to think about these things. Okay, so anyway, I get the intuitive message that people are speaking well of me, and I also get the intuitive message that people know that they really don't have any right to say anything negative about me. And also, it's becoming socially unacceptable to say things about me. The reason why is because if you do that, then you're just an outright evil person, because obviously I have done nothing wrong. Now, before I wrap this up, I do want to reiterate about, Trump, President Trump, okay, President Trump, please excuse me, playing an integral part in, informing churches or mentioning it, that they need to know their place when it comes to, their presence in the United States, okay? And like I said, these churches need to get together and they need to clear my name. They need to clear my name, as well as rethinking and removing these blacklists with other people's name on it. It is unacceptable that these people work in this sort of covert operation. And in reality, this is the underlying foundation to resolve this issue of the targeted individual problem. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I hope that everybody has a very good day. I have to be, focused on what I need to do in order for me to make this Lancaster, California journey possible. So I felt compelled to make this video because I kept thinking, okay, I cannot do this all by myself, meaning I can create all this stuff by myself, it takes time, but I still need other people to participate in cleaning up what they created, okay? And it's very important, because I will tell you, when it comes to people, okay, this is very important when it comes to churches or anybody who feels as though they preside over a group of people. In this case, the people who attend your church, the pastor or whoever is looked upon as a leader, okay? And this is the truth, okay? Monkey see, monkey do. Meaning, like, if a person was in a position of leadership says something, does something, then people will think that it's okay for them to do it. It's almost like you're endorsing it, okay? So for many years, I've had churches sitting here squashing me out and constantly, talking about me negatively, promoting this sort of hatred, okay? So now it's quite obvious I've done nothing wrong. This is a very evil operation that was originated from Nazis, and I do deserve to have my name cleared, okay? So please meet with your congregations. I'm asking President Trump to also assist me in this endeavor so that I can pick up, my business, meaning like I need to get this fundraiser going and I need to get out of Bakersfield, California. So I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care.